I'm going to bring you on, Kimberly. Hi.
Hi, Danielle, how are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you too. But I have to tell you, everybody needs a friend like Danielle because
Oh,
if you can connect with somebody who can get a lineup like this one to come and speak to her audience, like, holy cow, did you see this lineup? It is off the chain. Tiffany is fabulous. I love her to pieces. She's so fun. Shiraz is one of my favorite humans on the planet. Jennifer and I have hung out many times. Jennifer Deep Stratton's coming up next, and Susan
yeah.
Crossman is the boss when it comes to books. So you like everybody needs a friend like Danielle.
I like this talk about being out of your comfort zone. This whole day is so out of my comfort zone. I'm like, I admire all these people so much and they all come to talk to me. It's so great. So stage fright still happens just every time you level up. I got comfortable in my little comfort zone and now I'm getting out of my comfort zone talking to Kimberly, you and all these other speakers. It's so exciting and I'm so stoked for you to be here. And I'm going to read your bio. I'm going to make you listen to it. Uh, Kimberly Crowe is a dynamic international speaker, entrepreneur, and co-creator of Speakers Playhouse, which you really have to go to if you haven't already, if you're a speaker, and founder of Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel. Having spoken on over 5,000 stages, including a TEDx talk in Las Vegas, Kimberly empowers coaches, entrepreneurs, and speakers to elevate their visibility and amplify their message by getting on stages and grabbing the mic. Kimberly is so amazingly good at what she does. She is so great at helping speakers kind of figure out where they need to be and what they need to do. And I love one of my favorite sayings of hers that if it's not fun, it's not worth doing, which is so great. And I've totally taken that on. So Kimberly, thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about you and your amazingness and the Speakers Playhouse and all of the summits that you do and just tell us a bit about who you are.
That's a lot. That's a whole lot. Yes, and thank you for not blowing that phrase, Mike. It's totally. She got it exactly right. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And I've heard people just sort of screw that up every time they try to say that. So thank you
Oh,
for doing it exactly right. I just think it's fun. So let's make it
yeah.
happen. Yeah, when I started in this entrepreneurship business, I was helping people launch businesses and things like that. And I launched my own $1 million business and run multi-million dollar businesses and had all that fun. And then I realized there's so many coaches out there, so many healers, so many creatives that really have awesome stuff, but they're not getting seen and heard and nobody knows about them. They are the best kept secrets out there. And that's, what's bad about that is that if the great ones, if the ones with the really powerful programs that can really help people, the heart-centered entrepreneurs who want to make a difference, if they're not getting seen and heard, then somebody with twice their price and half their talent is going to help somebody that they could help.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm all about making that stop happening by getting people on stages and letting them share their message with the world. And so, yes, summits, podcasts, radio shows, TV shows, web summits, webinars, real live in-person stages. I'm all
She
about it.
does it all. She does it all, folks. She does everything. And I love that, Kimberly. And I love that you are here to empower and amplify, heart-centered people who have a good message because I think that I don't know if you've noticed this, but I think that those of us who are really passionate about what we do, we tend to be a little bit more shy. And the people who don't really care and who just kind of like, whatever, I just want to take your money and not really help you, those people tend to be sometimes they have more confidence than the people who are really heart centered. And I don't know why that is, but I think I love that you want to really help amplify and empower the people who really care because I feel like they need more of a platform.
Yeah, I think it's the aspect around sales when you say like, oh, sales is like it's for slimy salespeople and blah blah blah. And I think sales gets a bad rap. I think it does.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the people who are really good at sales are not necessarily good at solving the problem you have. The people who are really good at solving your problem are not necessarily good at sales. And so I think when you get on stage and you're able to talk about what you love, it is selling it or it's getting the word out there, but it's not that heavy duty push, buy my stuff or your world's coming to an end kind of thing. So I think that the stage is the great equalizer, and it
Yeah.
lets everybody be able to share what they're up to in the world. And those salespeople that are the pushy, shovey salespeople, they get exposed in the same way that that the people who are great at what they do get exposed for being great at what they do.
I love that. It's so true. It's so true. So, you have been around for a while. You've made a huge name for yourself. Everyone knows Kimberly Crowe and the Speakers Playhouse and
I would love to
Entrepreneur
believe
Rocket
that.
Fuel and your summits and you do the Voices of Women every year and you do all these amazing things. How long did it take you? Let's just be vulnerable and real for a moment. Tell us
Yeah.
about the struggle. Was there a struggle? Was it easy for you? What
Oh,
was your journey?
piece of cake, piece of cake. No. How long did it take me? 50 plus years. My mom is an artist and she has a very good friend who's an artist and she's in her 80s. And somebody walked up to her and said, "This painting is beautiful. How long did it take you to paint this?" And she said, 87 years. And
I
I
love that.
I think it's true, right? Like,
Yeah.
the thing of it is it's not, nobody who's an overnight success is really an overnight success. And there's so much that happened before that. And when did I get good at speaking? Pretty much the same time y'all did, around 2 or 3, right? We got good at it, right? But when did I get good at being on stages? I'm still getting better. I'm still improving. And I will often say that we need to get on rehearsal stages, that we need to practice a lot. And the reason why is because my best talk ever is my next talk. This talk's going to be great because Danielle's here helping me, supporting me. But my next talk might even be better because I might uncover something that I could do differently next time. So yeah, I think you're always having a chance to improve. But the good news is, and the bad news is the same news. The way to get good at public speaking is by publicly speaking.
It's so true. But there were different levels of stages, and we don't want to put too much pressure on ourselves. So talk to me a bit about, you talk about different levels of stages. We've got like practice stages, and you've mentioned that already.
Sure.
Talk a bit about that, like for folks who are starting out and they're like, oh, I want to speak on stage, but I don't want to get this like high stakes gig and then die and have all this pressure. How do they how do they
Yeah,
approach that?
actually, I talk about 4 kinds of stages that
Yeah,
you can
or
be
kinds of
on
stages.
and
Yeah.
how to profit from each one. Stage number one is a speak to sell stage, but it's not necessarily level one. I mean, you can come at them in all kinds of different ways. I say the 4 types are speak to sell, which is I'm getting on a stage to talk
Yeah.
about who I am and what I'm up to in the world and lead people to a program, product, or service that I have so that they can join me on their buying journey. So that's a speak to sell stage in the
Yeah.
sweetest, lovingest way to put that. It does not have to be buy my stuff, pushy webinar presentation kind of thing. A speak
Yeah.
to sell stage is any stage where people can get to know you and get comfortable with you and then get on a buying journey to buy something from you eventually. Now, if you have nothing to sell, you're not going to be on a speak to sell stage, right? But if you have something to sell eventually, then ideally speak to sell stage. It is my most profitable stage, being able to share who I am and what I'm up to in the world and get people into my world to just learn and explore a little bit more. There's a lot of free stuff in my community. I have tons of free content out there. And then if they want a little bit more, come to an event that I'm running. And if they want a little bit more, come to a program that I'm running. And so there's lots of different levels in speak
Mm,
to sell.
it's so
The second
generous.
type of stage that I talk about and how to profit from that one is a paid speaking gig. You can get paid to speak. There's tons of paid speaking gigs out there. I know people are like, I want to get a keynote one day, pay $10,000 to speak. And that's possible. That is possible. But I will tell you that there are plenty of paid speaking gigs that many of you have already done, and you don't call yourself a paid speaker. For example, if you've ever taught a class online and charged for it, you're a paid speaker. The definition of that is you get paid to deliver content. If you were a 4th grade teacher, you're a paid speaker. If I've done all kinds of things, I've been a paid actress, I've been a voiceover artist, I've narrated audiobooks, I did murder mystery impromptu theater
Oh
here
my
and
goodness.
there. Super fun. does not pay really well, but super fun. I have done. I've been an audio. I've been a equestrian polo announcer where I got paid to announce equestrian polo tournaments. So all kinds of ways that you can get paid to speak without having to be like, I haven't done a keynote yet. It's like, yeah, one day you can do a keynote, or you can get paid on all these other cool things too along the way. So I
Yeah.
think don't sweat the small stuff is my opinion on that. Are
Mhm.
you ready for stage number 3?
Heck yes.
Yeah, stage number 3 is the authority stage, a stage
Mm.
that gives you authority just by being on it. And most people will think of TEDx. And yes, TEDx is a great stage. The only thing you have to do to get a TEDx, well, there's a lot you have to do. But the first thing you have to do to get a TEDx is have an idea worth sharing. You all probably have ideas worth sharing. And I have an idea worth sharing. And Danielle, you do too. Everybody has an idea worth sharing. It's just a matter of narrowing that down, working with a coach, figuring out
Mhm.
what the one authority stage you want to have at TEDx is, and then making a go of it. I do think that TEDx is a big deal. I don't
Mhm.
think that you should just knock it out to be done with it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I applied for one and it's in 3 weeks and I'm just going to knock it out. And I'm like, wow, all right. So for me, a TEDx is sort of akin to your wedding. Like, it's a big deal. Like, you need to plan it and
Mhm.
work with people to plan it. And you're probably only going to do it once, maybe twice in your life.
Yeah, and it's out there forever as well. Like
And
that's why you're doing it
everyone's going
only
to know
once or
about
twice.
it, right? So
Yeah.
you're not going to just knock one out, so to speak, right? Just to say you did it. So we want to be sure that you plan correctly. And if I had to do it again, I would wear a completely different outfit. You got to have the things, you got to have the people there giving you guidance to do it the right way, and make sure that you're going to be proud of the replay of that forever. But the way
Yeah.
to profit from that one, interestingly, you can't get paid to do a TEDx.
Nope.
And you cannot do speak to sell. You can't lead them to a program, product, or service, because it's not about that. They will
Yeah.
actually they will it's a violation of their policies
Yeah.
to promote your programs.
Yeah.
So how do you profit from it? And the way you profit from an authority stage is to get the word out everywhere, to make sure people know about it. Because if you have a TEDx but nobody knows about it, it's not going to give you much authority, right? If you were on CNN and interviewed, right, and nobody knows about it, it's not going to give you much authority. So you have to make sure that everybody knows about it. And that's the way to leverage an authority stage.
Mhm.
And stage number 4 is the rehearsal stage that you talked about. The gold of a rehearsal stage, the way to profit from a rehearsal stage is to get feedback. And I
Mhm.
know people get so nervous about that because feedback is criticism, but it's also the gold, the profit, the opportunity to get better is the value from your TEDx. From a rehearsal stage. So if you're getting your interviewer to nod along, or you're getting questions in the chat, or
Yeah.
if you go back to your podcast later and you see that people had questions that you didn't really answer in the comments, that's all an opportunity to learn and improve for the next time. So those are the 4 stages. But there's actually a secret 5th stage that people can get. Do you want to know
Yeah.
what that is?
Uh, Heck yes. I was swore. I was like, no, don't do that. Heck yes.
We can't swear. Okay, I'll try to.
Oh, we can. We can. I try to save it for special occasions, because it's gonna
Fair
slip
enough.
out.
Fair
It's
enough.
gonna slip out. So whenever I can stop it, I don't want to be swearing all the time.
Fair
So
enough. So the secret 5th stage is your own stage.
mm,
Your own stage, the stage that you create. Because why? Because you make the rules. If when I was young, I would go over to my girlfriend's house and we'd have a sleepover, and my parents would say to me before I went, they'd say, okay, when you're at her house, have to live by their rules. If they
mhm,
say bedtime's at 9 o'clock, bedtime's at 9 o'clock. But if they say it's at 7 o'clock, bedtime's at 7 o'clock. And if they say dinner's at 4:30, that's when you eat dinner, right? Sit down and be polite, eat dinner. You're in their house, you have to live by their rules.
mhm,
Well, a stage is the same way. When you're on somebody else's stage, you have to live by their rules. They decide what questions to ask. They decide how long you can speak. They decide what you can do at the end of your talk, what you
yeah,
can invite people to. They decide what kind of stage it is. But when it's your own stage, you get to decide. You can make it a speak to sell stage by making an offer at the end to your program, product, or service. You can make it a paid speaking gig by charging admission to attend. You can make it an authority stage by bringing in people like you brought in. Holy cow, this lineup's incredible. And you can make it a rehearsal stage. Just practice. Just get out there and give it a whirl and see what happens. So you get to be in charge. So the secret fifth stage is your own stage.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. And I love that. Yeah, they do. We kind of want to, you can access them at any point of your business or any, it's not, yeah, like you were saying, it's not level 1, 2, 3 like that. It's,
Right, right.
you're going to do different things at different times. Something that I do recommend that I know you are an expert in, especially when folks are starting out, just to make it a little bit less scary, is doing interviews and podcasts, because then
Yeah.
you're not alone. You're not like, oh no, it's just me. You have someone else there. So can you speak a bit about, because I know you are so the expert in interviews and podcasts and that kind of thing. Can you speak a bit about why that is so much, it's just so much easier for folks who are scared, for folks who are
Yeah.
like, I want to speak. Why is that? And how do they do that?
Yeah, a lot of people are intimidated by it. They're like, what questions are they going to ask me? Do I have to give them questions in advance? By the way, if your host asks you for questions in advance, you're in a lot of trouble. Like, do all the other ones first. Oh, by the way, you should never pay to be on a podcast for your first 100 podcasts. Now, if you're really good at what you do and you're going to convert, and somebody's like, yeah, I have a podcast and I have X followers and X many followers, and they're all your perfect audience, and you know that you can convert, and they want to charge you $500, $1,000, $2,000 to be on that podcast, and you know you can get 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 from it. Sure. But in your first couple of podcasts, there are so many out there that don't charge, that just want to have a conversation with you and bring your expertise to their audience. Highly recommend doing those first. Just do
Yes.
those first. After you've done 100, if you want to be on that other one that charges you, sure, go ahead, make the choice. But otherwise, there's a lot of opportunity out there. And when you get on a podcast, you're just having a conversation with another human being. And for the most part, podcast hosts are not there to trip you up. They're there to make you look good because they want their audience to know that they bring on experts. So they're not going to sabotage you deliberately, unless it's that kind of show.
Oh, there's not a lot of those around.
There's not.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. And yeah, it's so much more human. You've got another person to talk to. It's not just you in the lens, or when you're in person, like you in a whole sea of faces. So it's a wonderful place to start. And, you can learn a lot and make a lot of good friends and even do business that way.
Yeah.
So what do you think, you're an extremely successful speaker. What is your like most surprising secret to success?
Wow. So something that I learned. Wow. Okay. So there's levels to that as well. So I will tell you that one thing that three things that you need to know before getting on any stage.
Mm.
Number one, by the end of this talk, what do I want my audience to have learned? By the end of this talk, what do I want my audience to have learned from coming to see me speak? And if you know that going in, then your audience is going to get value. All right. Number two, what do you want your audience to do at the end of your talk? What do you want them to take action on? Do you want them to act differently, behave differently to their friends and family, take action in some way, go to your website? What do you want them to do? And then the third is, how do you want them to feel at the end of the talk? Do you want them to feel like hopeful? Do you want them to feel like intimidated? Do you want them to feel pissed off about something so they'll go take action and call their senator or whatever? Do
Yeah.
you want them to feel like things are possible for them? Or do you want them to feel well educated now? What do you want them to feel at the end of your talk? So have that in mind before you go in. One of the most surprising things, which is what you asked me, that I learned later in the process, was that you can rush your call to action.
Mm.
Yeah, this is a big one, and it's a big mistake that most speakers make.
Mm-hmm.
A grand
Mm-hmm.
majority of speakers make. So I learned this through the black and blue rule, which is not the golden rule. It's the one where you make the mistake and then you learn from it, right?
Yep.
So I was given an opportunity to give a 5-minute talk to a large audience suddenly. And I was like, absolutely. And they said, and you can give an offer at the end. And I was like, okay, great. So I went in and it was my perfect audience and I taught and I gave all this value and it was amazing and they loved me and they're along with me, right? And they're learning along and you know, you can tell when the audience is really with you, right?
Yeah.
At the end, time's winding down. And I was like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kimberly Crowe. If you want to meet me, I'll see you in the back of the room. Cheers. And I took off. And they were like, I actually got like a standing ovation. They were really happy and they were blah, blah, blah. And at the end, I went back and I talked to my mentor who was there at the event. And I was like, they loved me. And he goes, of course they loved you. They always love you. But you rushed your call to action. And I went, what? And he goes, yeah, you need to spend a lot more time giving them a chance to digest what you want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true. And I learned this the hard way. So when you're about to give your call to action, I now divide it up into 5 pieces. So the first,
Ooh. Ooh.
your intro, which could be 2 questions, a quote, a surprising statistic, and then your story, right? Your why.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 main points that you want your audience to learn. Or in my case, we could do the 4 stages, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that fits in here. And then
Mm-hmm.
this last 20%, that's your wrap up. And in your wrap up, you start with your call to action. So you say,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I would love for you guys to join me for I guess I could say this because you already said it. I'd love to see you guys at Speakers Playhouse. You
Yeah.
can find it at speakersplayhouse.com. Speakers Playhouse is an amazing event that happens every single Thursday from 10:30 a.m. to noon. It's online, it's on Zoom. It's a lot of fun. It's a gamified networking event. Super fun opportunity to be able to find stages and find show hosts. So, and find guests. So if you're interested in getting on stages, it's a great place to be. I've had a lot of fun talking with you guys today. I hope you learned about the 4 types of stages. So now you go back in and recap. And then at the end of that last 20%, you come
Yeah.
back and you give your call to action again. So I love to
Mm.
see you guys at Speakers Playhouse. Again, you can find that at speakersplayhouse.com, right? So now you've given them a time to digest instead of just dropping it and running off the stage.
That is genius.
That is genius. And it wasn't until I fell on my, well, it didn't fall on my face. I thought I was
You
amazing.
got a standing ovation.
I know.
You
I
just
got
didn't
a
necessarily
tweet.
get sales.
And now my calls to action are much better.
I love that. Folks, if you were listening, Kimberly pretty much just gave you your talk structure. You know, intro, content, last 20% is your call to action. And I love that coming around. It is almost like, you know, you're getting someone really excited, then you're almost doing the Columbo, you know, like, oh, and don't forget, oh, and don't forget.
Oh, no.
One more thing, one more thing. But it's so important because, yeah, the first time people hear something, they might get excited about it. But then if you go into wrap up, then they're like, oh, well, that's over. And now we're good. So reminding them again at the end
Yep.
what you want them to do. I think that's so huge because they'll get distracted by that. Oh, like, yeah, this was so great. And they'll
Yeah, or
forget.
the next speaker
They'll
coming
forget.
up, right? The next speaker coming up. So
Yeah.
when we do our summits, we'll often they're 25 minutes, and at 20 minutes after, we're moving to your downloadable. We're moving
Yeah.
to your gift, and then we talk about your gift, and then we talk a little more, and then we wrap up. But we give people a chance to really get the gift. And most summits that I'm on, they'll finish and they'll be like, thanks so much, Kimberly. We'll put your link in the chat. Okay, next up, we have this other speaker. And they're totally distracted by the next speaker, right? So
Yeah.
now you get no attention on your gift, no attention on your opt-in or your call to action. And now people are moving on to the next thing.
Mhm.
Oftentimes people will say, save the chat and you can opt into everything later. But think how
People
many
don't.
times you've actually gone
Yeah.
back.
People don't. They really don't. You got to do it in the moment. I always click and like, I don't necessarily opt in, but I click and then I've got like a million tabs open afterwards and I have to go through them all. But you know, you got to get them to click during the thing. And speaking of, this is the best segue ever because I was like, Kimberly, it's like you could read my mind because I was about to ask you about what your gift. So this gift is not for everyone who's on the call right now. Oh
Right.
no, this gift is because it's special and it's like all of the gifts are of serious value for
Here's
today's mini
value.
summit. serious value.
Mm.
They are for when I have my event next week. If you come to the whole thing as a bonus for showing up for yourself and doing the work and pushing through that first little bit of scariness, Kimberly and our other speakers today are pledging you this amazing value. So Kimberly, can you tell us about the gift, this kind of bonus for showing up?
I will. I sold this for $597. This is 36 ways, which ended up being 51 ways because by the time I actually taught it, it was 51 ways.
Nice.
36 ways to profit from speaking. So this is a masterclass that I taught. It was fabulous. You guys are going to get the full recording, and we go through all the things. It was a 2-day masterclass that I just walked through all these different ways to get paid from speaking. And because a lot of my audience is struggling to make money with their programs, products, or services, and they want to get paid. And this is a great way to be able to get paid just from sharing knowledge, in addition to being able to potentially lead people to your program, product, or service. So lots of ways to get paid from speaking. So yeah, that's a $600 value. I definitely want you guys to take advantage of that when you opt in. Do not forget to watch this replay because it's money.
And what an amazing return on investment. $47 to attend my 3-day next week. That 3-day is interactive. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to do a lot. You're going to speak a lot. And then on top of that, you get $600 worth of value of how to get paid to speak. You're probably already doing this. Knowing my audience, you're trying to find a way to monetize what you love because you want to be doing more of what you love. You want to be getting your message out there. This is it. Kimberly's gift is the way to do it. This is how you take doing what you love and you make money doing it. So please, please, please sign up for my 3-day next week. The link is in the chat, and take advantage of Kimberly's gift because that is huge. Huge, huge, huge.
Okay.
So Kimberly, one final thing. We are coming to the end of our time together. One final nugget, golden, like a secret or a golden piece of advice for folks who are near the beginning of their speaking career. What would you leave them with today?
Get really clear on not necessarily. A coach will tell you to get really clear on what your audience wants, on where they are, on what their pain is. Get clear on what they need, on what they want to buy. Get clear on their mental, their psychographics,
Yes.
all that's true. But before that, I want you to get clear on what lights you up, on what you want to do.
Yes.
Because too many people, especially in this serve community, too many people are focused out there on what they want, and they don't really think in terms of what would I love? What lights me up? And there's this great quote from Howard Thurman, and I'll leave this with you. Howard Thurman was Martin Luther King Jr.'s mentor. And he has a quote that says, "Do not ask what the world needs. Ask what lights you up. Because what this world needs is more people who are lit up." And I'll leave you with that.
Mic drop, Kimberly. Amazing. It's so true. We need more people who are alive and passionate and who love what they do. Everything else will come. And that's why we have coaches, and that's why we have wonderful people like the speakers today to help support you. But that's the thing that no one else can do for you. Finding what lights you up. Kimberly, it has been such a pleasure. I love talking to you. This has been so great. Thank you, thank you, thank you